it's Betsy, and today we have a fun video. We're going to be testing out the new Melt Blueprint collection. Now, if you are a fan of Melt, you will know that Melt had a blueprint stack. And now they have changed it into a palette. So I collect all of the Melt palettes, so I decided I needed to pick this up. The palette by itself retails for $48. It's got this beautiful outside packaging, and then on the inside, the packaging is the same, but it's reversed. And then when you open her up, she looks like this. So she is a half colorful, half neutral, as Angelica Nyquist would say. So we're gonna start off by swatching everything, and then we're going to do a look. So the palette retails for $48. So the first shade is Skylight. Love that color. That's beautiful. Then we have Deadbolt. Ooh, that's pretty too. Dim Out, which is the only matte blue. King Stud. So Skylight, Deadbolt, Dim Out, King Stud. Okay, those are really pretty. And then on the neutral side, there is Beaming. That's a pretty color. Hot Wire, Hammered, and Nailed. So Beaming, Hot Wire, Hammered, Nailed. So as you can see, there are only 2 matte shadows in this palette, which is fine by me. You know, if I need to incorporate something else, I have plenty of other palettes to do that. And then there are 2 gel cream eyeliners, or gel eyeliners. There is the shade Steel, and this one is the Reflect, which looks like this. We're gonna go ahead and swatch it. I am in love with that color. And then we have Slate, which this is a matte eyeliner. So I'm not sure if I'm gonna just do like a 2 looks or 1. That's Slate. So you can buy each piece individually for retail price, or you can buy the collection all together for $75. And if you buy it all together, you save $1. But what's good about if you buy it all together, Melt has free shipping on orders over 75, so, or 75 and over, so you get free shipping. So I think what I'm going to do is do kind of a mix of colors. I mean, let's face it, we're here for the blues, not for the browns. But I do want to see what the browns do, because the browns felt really good, and they are a little more on the warm tone side. So I'm excited for that. So I'm gonna pick up, this is a BK Beauty 201, and we're gonna go into the shade Hammered, which is the brown shade. So we're gonna apply a little bit, and we're gonna try, oh, that's very pigmented. See if we can kind of blend it out using 1 shade, but kind of going in very light-handed with it. Was my brush dirty? I think my brush might have been dirty, because that is pulling more black than anything. So we're gonna try that again. Okay, yeah, that brush was dirty. So that is the shade Hammered blended out. That is a pretty color though. Sometimes it's hard to tell because the brush tip, if they had some grays on it. But that is Hammered blended out. I like that shade. And then let's take that brush one more time, and we're gonna take Hammered, and we're really gonna deepen up. Yes, so you just deepen up that outer crease, because I like to have some depth in my looks. And as you can see, there isn't any weird patchiness or anything like that. It is blending out nicely, so it looks like I used more than one shade, but I haven't. And then I think I'm going to take the shade Hot Wired and apply that all over the lid. Oh, that's pretty together. I like that. So, I mean, you can see that the brown, at least the two I've used so far, work together well. So what I'm going to do now is wipe off my eye, and now we're going to play with the blues. I just kind of wanted to see how it went, what version of Melt shadows this is, because sometimes with Melt, let's face it, they can have some tricky mattes and tricky shimmers. You know, their formula is not always the best. I mean, I don't mind it. It's definitely not the worst by far, but sometimes it's just harder to work with. So I'm grabbing my Gerard Cosmetics Clean Canvas Eye Base to blend out my eyeshadow, because we're gonna start over with this baby, because we can. So, just taking my sponge to blend out the primer, make sure it's blended in. Grab our e.l.f. eye tapes, and we're going to play. Okay. So, what I think I'm gonna do to start, so that way I have a little bit more of a transition shade, I'm gonna grab, this is the Rephr number 15, so it's a big kind of fat fluffy brush. I'm gonna dip very lightly into Hammered, and then kind of mix in a little bit of Beaming to see if we can build up kind of a more neutrally transition shade to kind of set down part of the base. So as you can see, we're just taking it and blending it out pretty much completely. That looks good. So we're gonna do that again on the other eye. So even if you don't have all the mattes you want or all the shimmers, you can easily take and mix like a matte with a shimmer to make something that's a little bit more blendable and easy to work with. So that looks really pretty, really pretty. Okay, so now I need a little tea tiny. We're gonna grab, this is a Lunar Beauty. This is the LB2, and it is stained blue. We're gonna go into the matte blue called Dim Out, which looks like this. And we're gonna take and start building that on our crease and outer V. So if you look at this, you would think that this is going to pull real navy, but as you see, it really blends out to more of like that cerulean blue almost. It has more depth to it than you would think. So we're just gonna keep building slowly and surely, because sometimes, you know, Melt has uber pigmented shadows. So for me, a lot of times if I take and work on it a little bit at a time, I have much better luck with it. That looks really pretty. And then just keep building. kind of want it to almost flare out a little bit, have more of that angle. There we go. So now I'm going to do the same thing on the other side with just taking the same brush and working it into the crease. So you can see it is a fluffy brush, but it is more flat. So you're able to build some depth with it without, but having a lot of control. Because if you're using something that is too fluffy with a look like this, you're gonna end up with blue everywhere, and it's not going to look, in my opinion, the best. Okay. That looks pretty even, looks good to me. Gotta double check, because I have these creases on my eyelids that always gotta kind of double check, you know, the fun of getting older. I'm gonna take this same refer number 15 just to kind of go over the front and above, just to make sure everything is nice and soft, because that's the kind of look that I tend to go for. Very, very pretty. Very pretty. Okay, so I'm gonna take, this is a Nabla N13. We're gonna grab some glitter glue, and we're going to apply some shimmer all over the lid and see how that goes. This is the Too Faced glitter glue. I have other glitter glues, so I'm trying to use up that one. I mean, and that one and the NYX are both really good. I like them both. So we're gonna go first into the shade King Stud, which is the deepest of the blue shimmers, and apply that to the back half of our eye. That's pretty. So as you can see, that is definitely more of like that true blue when you think of the shade Blueprint. Well, Blueprint's not a shade, it's an object. But if you actually think of a blueprint, they're blue, the paper's blue, but they're not like deep blue. Yeah, I know, I'm thinking of weird stuff. That looks really pretty though. See how pretty that looks? Okay, I'm gonna take and wipe that brush off, and we're gonna go into the shade Deadbolt, which is a little bit brighter. Oh yeah, I really like that. Okay. That's really pretty together. Now, I cannot attest to the quality of the palettes versus the stacks, but I know that people loved the stacks. I skipped over this one because, well, I haven't bought any of Melt's stacks. I prefer palettes, as you can see, and this was the first one that they did with more of like that split pan. So these are all the original colors. It's just now in palette form, and I skipped over it because, again, I like palettes. I don't like stacks. That looks really good though. Okay, so now I think I'm gonna take the metallic liner. We're gonna try something. It's probably going to fail miserably. I'm grabbing an eyeliner or an angled brush, and I am going to try to create a bit of a wing. It'll either work or it won't, and if it doesn't, it doesn't. And we are working on the blurring issue. I need to, my camera focus on my camera is set to auto, so it wants to pick up like all the movement and not keep focus. So I need to change it. I told my husband, I was like, we need to change it to manual, so hopefully it doesn't keep doing the blur. Actually, that is not a half bad wing if I say so myself. I should use these more often. Okie dokie. So let's take a look at it without the eye tapes. That looks really pretty. Okay, so what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna go off camera, do the rest of my makeup, and then we'll come back and do the lower lash line. And then we will talk about my thoughts on the Blueprint collection. Okie dokie, so I'm back and I have the rest of my face on. I'm going to take and highlight with the shade Beaming. I figured that would work as a highlight. Oh, it does. So that way we can use a lot of shades out of this palette, you know? It's pretty on the skin. I look very, very glowy today. Very, very glowy. Okie dokie. So now what I want to do is I'm going to take this little brush right here. This is from Lunar Beauty. This is the LB, what is the number on this? 4. And we're gonna go into the shade Nailed, which is that bronze shimmer. And we're gonna use that pretty much to tightline our lower lash line. I thought instead of using one of the cream gel eyeliners, we would use that. Looks pretty, very, very pretty. I'm gonna grab, this is the Refer number 12. And we're gonna go back into the dim out shade, which is that navy blue. And blend that out. But as you can see, I barely put any on the brush. So that way I have complete control. There we go. That looks really pretty. Okay, now I want to take something a little bit fluffier. This is the Lunar Beauty LB1, so it's just a big fluffy brush. And really kind of go under there and blend that out. Because I like things that are really blended, really smooth. I think that looks really, really pretty. Really pretty. I love the shades of blue in here. And last but not least, we're gonna take this little pencil brush from Lunar Beauty. This is the LB6. We're gonna go into the shade Spotlight, which is the first shade, which is like that minty blue. I'm going to spray it because, yeah, it's a little bit powdery. And we're gonna take and apply that right in our inner corner. Kind of wrapping it around a little bit. Beautiful. Now that is a glow kind of color. So pretty. Okay. Now I want a clean brush. This is one from Melt, and I'm just going over the edges again of where I placed that brightest blue, just to make sure everything's nice and soft. We're gonna add some lower lash line mascara. And while we're doing that, we can start talking about our thoughts on this collection. So the gel cream eyeliners, I only used one in this look, which was the shade Slate, I think, the shiny one. Let me grab them. no, steel. And I really liked how it performed. I know it's probably hard to tell that I actually have a wing. See if it, yes, so you can see that I actually have a wing. So I like the liners, or at least the one that I tried, but I like Melt's formula and it feels just the same. So I think that I will like that. But the real standout is the palette. And if the formula in the stack is as good as this, it's amazing. If you have the stack, you really don't need this because there are no new shades in this palette. But as you can see, the colors are absolutely stunning. We love how this looks. What do you think? But yeah, I mean, for me, I think it's worth $48. If you want to purchase it, that's for you to decide. I will link it in the description box, and it might be an affiliated link, I'm not sure. I use magic links to create links, so sometimes they're affiliated, sometimes they're not. But I guess that's it, so we'll see y'all later. Bye.